The perhaps biggest gold scandal of all time is about to break. And this is super relevant for Bitcoin because the US is currently planning a currency reset, and gold and Bitcoin will be key parts of this new monetary system. And Elon Musk and Donald Trump are the main players here. This is now being leaked by a gold insider in the new Alex Jones podcast. This is about the Federal Reserve audit and the Fort Knox audit. This is about the current supply issues, where central banks can no longer deliver gold reserves. We're seeing massive movements from London to the US, with more gold being moved than ever before. There's $5 million worth of gold being moved here. Imagine that. That's more than twice the Bitcoin market capitalization. And it seems that gold is currently running out in London, that there are no more gold reserves here. People are currently in a panic that if they don't withdraw their gold from various markets now, they won't be able to access it anymore because there's just way more paper gold in circulation. So many more gold certificates being traded than there is actual physical gold. And this is going to be super relevant. We're going to look at the scenes now because it will be very, very relevant for Bitcoin later on. What gets revealed here could really change everything. And it also explains why the markets are freaking out right now.
I mean, what is the big thing that's about to happen?
So this is what's signifying that this change is about to happen. Trump is effective. Everybody around the world is scared that he is going to make huge inroads. So if we go to what's happening in London right now, the Bank of England is the largest holder of gold on the planet for central banks and for big hedge funds. Like they're the LBMA, they're basically London bullion market. You know, it's the largest gold holder on the planet. What's been happening? They're running out, Alex. They're running out. It's like not there. So much so that there's people who want physical delivery, whether it's a central bank or somebody big, that normally takes 72 hours for them to get their delivery. It's now 4 to 8 weeks. I was just on a webinar this morning with the basically LBMA, and they were talking about this. It's like, well, we can't really provide quick delivery for large orders, and we certainly can't even do it for small orders. There's not enough there. So what are they doing to counteract that? They are giving people this weird dangling carrot out there. It's like, hey, if you have gold stored in the LBMA vaults, we will pay you 16% monthly interest for you to loan us that gold so we can provide physical delivery.
So this is really intense. He's reporting here that there's an absolute escalation in the gold market. And we'll also take a look later at why this becomes relevant for Bitcoin. The Bank of England, the largest gold holder in the world, is in massive trouble. Normally, you need 72 hours to deliver gold here. Now you need 4 to 8 weeks to deliver gold, and you can't deliver small amounts either. So that means whether it's small amounts or large amounts, the Bank of England can't deliver any gold. Retailers want gold, central banks want gold. A lot of people want gold. And now comes the big kicker. The Bank of England is now offering customers, hey, if you don't withdraw your gold, and if you basically keep lending us your gold, because then we can just pass that gold on to other people, then you'll get up to 16% monthly interest so we can keep lending out the gold. And here is the first red flag that is coming up now. And he will also say later that he definitely wouldn't do this if he didn't enter into the deal here. Because if you don't withdraw the gold now, it could be that you won't be able to get any gold at all, even if you're getting 16% interest, because this is also, let's say, a kind of Ponzi scheme, a snowball system, or whatever that's being set up here. It's likely that way more paper gold is being issued than there is actual physical gold. And if everyone wants to withdraw their gold now, then panic will break out and even more people will want to pull out their gold. And when they realize, hey, there's no more gold, they can't keep up, they can't deliver it anymore. And now they're even offering some here like, loan deals with 16% interest and so on. And then people realize, hey, maybe this whole thing is just one big scam. And this is definitely very, very intense what's going on here. But it's going to get a lot crazier, trust me. This is just the intro for you to get a rough idea of what it's about.
We can provide physical delivery. It's like, this is the worst deal possible. I don't care if it was 80% that they're charging. If they don't have it and there's no mechanism to get more in, why would you let them borrow it so they can send it somewhere else? You're not getting it back, is my opinion.
So just briefly again, he said that if you do this here, even for 80% or 100% interest or something like that, it's very, very stupid because it's just like lending Bitcoin or something like that. If there are no Bitcoin deposited, like with FTX, and then the whole platform collapses, then you no longer have the Bitcoin and cool, then you might have had 16% interest, but then the gold or the Bitcoin is gone. And now here comes the really exciting part. So where is all this gold flowing to, and why is that still relevant for Bitcoin?
But this is what they're doing. So now we have to add the second question. Where's all this gold going? Is it going to China because they want to back up their BRICS currency? Where is it going? it's not going to China. It's not going to Russia. It's coming to New York. So here's where the COMEX, the CME COMEX depositories, their inventories of gold are now through the roof. We've never seen so much gold leave London, leave the international system, and come back to America.
So now he's clearing up the big speculation. That is, why is all this gold leaving London? And especially, where is all this gold going? He says it's not going to China, it's not going to Russia, but all that gold is going straight to New York. And in the US, they're building up massive gold reserves here. It'll get interesting later on. He's going to touch on that. One, about the Fort Knox audit, which could possibly have something to do with this. Or the Trump tariffs, why they might have something to do with this. Or maybe they don't have anything to do with it at all. But that's already interesting. So we already know, okay, the gold is coming from London and flowing all into the US to New York. And these aren't small reserves. He mentioned in the interview that somehow 5 trillion has already been moved. So that's more than double the market capitalization of Bitcoin already.
There's two schools of thought here. And I'm going with the second school of thought. The first one is you've got all these short contracts that whoever is on the flip side of those says, hey, big banks, JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, whoever, we're going to be wanting physical delivery of the silver or the gold that's in these contracts. And so if they don't have it, if COMEX doesn't have them in inventory, they're actually pulling all of that inventory in from all over the world, Alex. So this is what some people think are happening. It's like, oh, this is coming in because of Trump tariffs, and they've got to get the metals inside the border before the tariffs really hit. I originally thought that might have been part of the plan. However, after some of Trump's recent comments, I think this is not really why this is all happening, right? Because there's stories of planes, cargo planes, leaving parts of the world, bringing gold and silver to New York. It's almost like a repatriation of the metals. And Trump is doing like an audit, getting everything back here, right, that we now have control of, because the Fed should have 8,500 tons of gold. That's what they should have. Now, it's not necessarily stored in America, but it looks like it's coming back to America. And to what?
Well, it doesn't look like it.
Well, it's pretty amazing what's being unpacked here. Others say that this has to do with the tariffs. But he says, hey, it has nothing to do with that. That has nothing to do with either of those arguments. Rather, the US is now filling up its gold reserves again because Fort Knox is being audited, and they have to pull all the gold back here from around the world that they've distributed in parts. It doesn't necessarily have to be that they're buying foreign gold here. It could also be that they had simply borrowed gold in the past. So they borrowed gold and got some kind of interest or something in return. They have to pull all of that back now. They're really starting to panic here because Donald Trump has ordered the Fed audit, and Elon Musk also ordered the Fed audit. And now we're getting to the really relevant parts. So how does this connect to a potential new monetary system? How does this connect to Bitcoin? And what's coming our way now? So we know now that all the gold is flowing out to the US. And what's next here?
Listen to what they say in this 20-second clip. This is fascinating.
Roll it.
Within the next 12 months, we are going to monetize the asset side of the U.S. balance sheet for the American people. We are going to put the assets to work, and I think it's going to be very exciting.
Yeah, so what does monetizing the assets of the balance sheet mean? Well, it means when you're monetizing something, you're having it work for you. So what is the assets of the balance sheet? Well, we all know, you've talked about this over the years, there's all this stupid federal land that the federal government owns in America. That's not a producing asset. So to actually monetize that, you would do what Trump says, drill, baby, drill. Let's get some oil rigs in there. Let's start drilling and making this land that's just sitting there actually useful. Okay, that's how you would monetize that. That's not what they're talking about here, because that would require a lot of work to come in and get the stuff out of there. What they're talking about is stuff that they already have. Right, so let's add up a couple of things Trump has said. A, he and Musk have both said that they want to add a Bitcoin strategic reserve, right, into the U.S. balance sheet, basically possible backing for the U.S. currency. Well, that would be an asset that they can monetize, right, because it's a thing that's actually there. They could also monetize their gold. Where I started thinking over the weekend, it's like they've got 8,500 tons of gold under current valuation methods. They go back to some archaic 1950s model.
So he's talking about Scott Besson, who said here, hey, we want to monetize the assets that we have. Then he goes on to say that it could possibly be the country that gets monetized by extracting oil from the land or something like that. But that's not the big lever he has here. He says the really big lever is, for example, if you bet on Bitcoin now and Bitcoin could be monetized, that means Bitcoin could be used as collateral again. Additionally, you can also monetize gold, all the gold reserves, you bring them back. And he also says here that the US has 8,500 tons of gold. And this could also be monetized. And that will become really, really relevant later on, especially if you're preparing for something like a money reset or something like that. So he also talks about, hey, how can we use gold and Bitcoin for that? So let's listen to that now.
And it's like, they've got 8,500 tons of gold. Under current valuation methods, they go back to some archaic 1950s model saying that all the 8,500 tons at the Fed is valued at $42.02 an ounce. Like, what in the world? That's like $500 million. That's not very much, right? So, but what if they actually value that mark to the market, meaning gold is around $3,000 an ounce at over 8,500 tons. That gets them well over $35 trillion. If they just do that, they have enough money to pay off the national debt, Alex, just by doing one thing, basically monetizing the asset that they have on the balance sheet.
Well, Kirk, you know,
thinking,
I'm not an economist, but I study it all.
So that's crazy, the numbers you're crunching here. I mean, this isn't anything special. Gold is somehow valued at around $40 an ounce or something like that. Now, if you realize that, then according to this, the gold expert here is talking about a profit of just over $35 million. And with that, they could even pay off the debt in the USA. So that's also what Donald Trump has been asking over and over. How can we reset the debt levels here in the USA? Elon Musk is also working on this with the Department of Government Efficiency. And later on, it also talks a bit about how we can get back to a hard currency standard. And it could be that this isn't just about Bitcoin, but that it involves both Bitcoin and gold, so that you have a basket of goods that backs a new currency or something like that. And first, you pay off the debt levels or reduce the debt levels. But hey, to be honest, I don't know if the numbers here add up to the $35 trillion. Feel free to drop that in the comments below. It seems a bit too high to me that with the new revaluation of the gold reserves, you could pay off all the debts or something like that. Well, that seems a bit absurd to me. But it always seems to come down to this throughout history, even with Bitcoin. And so on, it's always about, okay, how can we pay off the debt? You could pay off parts of the debt with price increases of Bitcoin, and additionally with the revaluation of the gold reserves. Somehow, you want to get out of this debt spiral. And maybe they really want to switch from the debt-based money system to a hard currency system. I'm not saying that it's going to happen, or something like that, but that's just what the gold expert is laying out here. The whole case, I mean, how it all connects. With Fort Knox, with the audit from the Federal Reserve, Elon Musk and so on, and then later on, how Bitcoin comes into play. So I find it super interesting. I'm not saying it's going to happen 100%, but these are definitely thoughts worth considering. And really, there are some very, very interesting theories here. I have to honestly say, these are currently just theories, but they are very, very interesting theories that could actually play out like this. And it would definitely be bullish for gold, it would be bullish for Bitcoin. And it would probably also be bullish in the long run for all of humanity because hard money is always better than soft money. We now know that soft money leads to a lot of really bad things. Now we might also switch back to a hard currency standard, but that probably won't happen overnight. It'll likely be more of a slow transition or something like that. Definitely let me know in the comments what you think about it. If you want to buy Bitcoin, I'll put a link down below for you. 21 Bitcoin, how you can easily, safely, and simply buy Bitcoin. Here, you can use the code to get up to 20% off the fees when buying Bitcoin. Super easy, safe, for beginners, advanced users, and pros. See you later. Peace out.